All right, friends, I'm going to give you some feedback on the exam. Not on all parts, but 3 specific parts where the results were not so great. And you're going to get an opportunity for extra credit. But first, I'm going to explain like what went wrong and what you can do to make it right and how to learn this part. So one part was this part for reporting verbs and connectors. Okay, so it's like write sentences using the words provided, following the rules studied in the book. Okay, so if we look here, this is like the part that was from the book. The important part was knowing, this is like unit 8, I think. The important part was knowing that after suggest, we have a gerund. Like that's the point of practicing this, okay? And after recommends, we have a gerund. After agrees, we have an infinitive, okay? Like that's like the learning objective. That's what we want you to learn in this part, that you can put those together well. So, or, here's the objective, like they advise him or me or somebody, and then the infinitive, okay? So what was the problem? Sometimes I think we were not sure about what the rules in the book were sometimes, so we would write sentences like, what do you suggest? It's a beautiful sentence, but it's not what we're trying to learn or study. The idea is to combine suggest with another verb, okay? So in this case, sorry, you see here, this one, in this case, yeah, a gerund, for example. Okay, and ojo, sometimes we would write, I would see examples like, he suggested me to do something. But ojo, in this case, we cannot do that. In fact, in English, we can never write that sentence. You have 2 choices. In the book, we learn like he suggested doing something. Or in a handout that I give you in class that we practiced one day, we didn't do it a lot, but it was there briefly, like he suggested that I do something. Okay, that I'm not really expecting. What I was expecting is like this, suggested doing, right? Okay, so agree, advise, also the same. And ojo, all of these are verbs. So advise is aconsejar, it's not un consejo. That's advice, okay? So it's important to use it as a verb, okay? Like we had here, advise someone, and then with the infinitive, to do something, okay? So same here with remind. So sometimes you wrote beautiful sentences like, you remind me of my friend, but that's not our learning objective. Our learning objective is to how to combine remind with another verb. How do we do that? So we look here, reminds object, and then infinitive. He reminds them to write a review. I remind you to complete the homework. You remind me to send you an email, okay? Like that kind of thing. All right, so that is the first part. Okay, the second part that was kind of hit or miss was this, when we had to talk about Wilmer, right, in the past. So these are third conditionals, and they are in unit 10, okay? If we go down here, we see the third conditionals, all right? So I'll give a few examples. In general, with third conditionals, right, we had if, and then we have past perfect, and then the other clause would and present perfect. So ojo, that's like if I had known about the party, I would have gone, okay? So here is an important part. like what people confused is that maybe they wrote like, if I had know about the party, but we need the third verb, so known, okay? And they would maybe say, I would had gone, okay? But it's not would had, it's would have, right? Another common problem is like, we can have had 2 times, like if I had had money, I would have paid for the taxi, for example. Okay. So the first important part is like the if clause is past perfect. The would clause is present perfect. Okay. Okay, so another common error is sometimes there's a missing verb. So instead of if I had had money, maybe people wrote if I had money, I would have paid for the taxi. Okay, but that's not the third conditional. The third conditional needs the had. All right. The other thing is that this part in the would clause is always have. It's never has. So never I would has. Okay. The other thing was like, where do we put the not? It would be I would not have paid. Sometimes people put like I would have not, or yeah, those kinds of things. So the order there, all right, is important. So basically, no, would, haven't. Okay, we can't say that. We have to put, sorry, let me change the language. All right. That doesn't work. We need wouldn't have. All right. So now let's look at the second conditional, which was this part right here. So now, now we are not talking about the past anymore. Now we're talking about the future. So we're saying Wilmer is still feeling a little bit bad about the incident. He wants to apologize to Jeremy, something that's going to happen now, all right, or potentially in the future. Forget the past. The past is over, okay? So this is also in the book. We have the second conditional, Unit 10. So again, let's look at how we construct it. All right. If, and then the simple past, would, and then the base form of the verb. So if I knew, I would tell you. This has nothing to do with the past. It has only to do with the potential future. Like, si supiera, te diría, pero no sé. Okay? So this one has to be in the simple past. Okay? And this one would and a verb. Okay? So let's look at some of the common mistakes there. So I think in general, what was people made mistakes because they were mixing the second conditional with the third conditional. So they would write something like, if I had knew, okay, I would tell. Okay, and it's like that's hybrid that doesn't exist. All right. So let me see what else would be important. All right. So now let's look at our extra credit opportunity. So your extra credit opportunity, it applies only to these sections that we've looked at in the video. All right. The reporting verbs and connectors, the third conditionals, and the second conditionals. So what do you have to do? First, you have to correct all the sentences you got wrong in that section. So if here in reporting verbs and connectors, you got the first 3 wrong, you correct those. and send them to me in an email. Like just write them in a new, beautiful way. Okay? Then the second part is that you have to write the same amount of new sentences. So, for example, if you got the first 3 wrong, first you correct them, and then you write like an entirely new sentence, an additional sentence with suggest and agree and advise, okay? In like the same, with a different topic, okay? Just to show, look, I could correct it and I could create new sentences. Don't do it for all of them, only do it for the number that you got wrong, okay? And then basically put these in an email and email them to me before 5 p.m. on Monday, June 6th. I'm going to upload grades the next day on June 7th. So I need those grades by then. Okay. How much extra credit can you get? All right. You can get basically half points. All right. So for example, let's say that you got 10 wrong in this section altogether. 10, 3 here, 3 here, 4 here. You got 10 wrong. If you do this and you do it correctly, you can't get 10 points, but you can get 5 points, which means that if you get a 3 on your exam, it will bring it up to 3.5, okay? So it's worth it, okay, for the points. But I would also say that it is worth it for the knowledge, because this is a B1 level like skill set that if you learn it now and you improve a little bit, you will be happier in the next level. All right. So that is what we need to do. And this is only for these sections, right? Not for the rest of the exam. All right. Good luck.